Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking 102.87 Moonflowers. So I wanted to do another flower bead, but in the evening setting, like a night setting. I was inspired to take the Echo 2 painted cane that we did a couple of weeks ago and transform it into the Moorland Field Cane for the background of this piece. I just love the way the Echo 2 looks in this cane, coated and clear. It's just a beautiful ghostly effect, and I hope you all enjoy it. So with that said, let's get right into it. And as always, I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this one started with the Moorland Field Cane, and I am going to start out with the Echo 2. And what I need to do here is just pull a nice thin stringer that we can put on the actual cane. So I'm just going to do a little prep work here and pull this out in a second. Okay, so I have my tweezers kind of ready to go, so I'm not too shaky. And then I'm going to just pinch the very tip of that glass. And when I pull out stringers, I always take my time with that first pull. I just wait. And then I pull slowly and slowly. And then right about here is when I really start tugging on it before it stiffens up. It does take time to pull good stringer, but usually it's all about the timing. And if it's really thin and wispy, you're just pulling too fast. Anyway, now that we're done with the stringer, let's move on and make this cane. And I'm using an Effetri black, the 064 black, my favorite for your all-purpose black needs. And I'm going to just get a nice ball of this hot. I want this to be as big as the whole package. So I will, continue to get it as, a little bit bigger. We'll say this is about an inch wide. And I'll drop it or add it to the end of a hot punty or or a mandrel. And then I'll cast away and add a little bit more glass there. And then we'll go ahead and round it out in the marble mold. If you don't have a marble mold, you can round it out in the air and gently just roll it on a graphite pad to get ready to add your stringers. Okay, so for the Moorland Field Cane, it is always 3 stringers on one side. So we're going to add from the top to the bottom, and I'm going to give myself just maybe, a couple millimeters in between each stringer. And that is it. It's a very simple cane, but it is one of my favorite canes, and it makes such a beautiful background, and it's different every time. So we don't even need to twist this up. We're going to pull it out as a nice straight cane. And before we do that, I want to just flatten down some of these stringers so they're a little closer to the black. I always kind of like to, help the glass along and flatten it down if I need to, a little bit more and a little bit more. And it just, it's easier to incorporate into the rest of the piece. And then when that's done, I'll go ahead and round it out again in our marble mold. And I always round out on the side, always on the side of the mold. And then we'll go ahead and punty up the other side. When you're using metal punties, be sure that you're only just barely getting that glass in there. You hardly need any heat at all on the glass end. You just want the mandrel and nice and hot and just kind of push it into the hot glass just a little tiny bit. And now we're going to heat everything up and just pull this out into our nice straight cane. And with this, I'm going to just start slowly. I always pull slowly, and you'll see the ends getting a little darker. That's what I'm looking for. But initially, the whole cane wants to be about the same color red, a little darker on the edges as you pull out. But we're looking for just a couple millimeters thick of a cane here, like maybe 2 millimeters, 1 to 2 millimeters. And that is it. You see those stripes there on the side? And that is our Echo 2 Moorland Field Cane. Now let's go ahead and use that in our bead. All right, so we're going to start out with just our basic black background, and I am going to heat up my mandrel and just start wrapping kind of on the left side. So I'm going to work my way from left to right, and then we'll get maybe an inch or so, like my normal amount on this bead, and I'll just wrap and twist it up. Of course, you know, not everybody is really good at every technique. I'm certainly not. But just do your best to wrap, even if you need to just wrap small wraps next to each other to get your length. I was not able to do that kind of a wrap for a long time. I was just real nervous about wrapping that way, especially since I was kind of heavy-handed and always tended to bust up the bead release underneath. So I had to learn how to be very gentle with the glass before I could, you know, do a full twist up of a bead. Anyway, so we're going to get that nice and barrel shaped out, and now here comes the Moorland Field Cane. And when I apply this cane, the trick is to continuously twist it back and forth, making sure that sometimes the stripes show and other times it doesn't. And sometimes I'll go backwards a couple times and then forwards a couple times. You know, you just want to have fun with this cane, not really caring about, you don't want a specific pattern, basically. So you're just twisting back and forth, making sure that those Echo 2 stringers show up from time to time as you wrap it down this bead. And if you break the cane along the way, it's no big deal because your background is black too. Just add the cane where you left off and continue. And then once you have the cane on there, I'm just going to go ahead and very gently roll it out, a little at a time. I never like to heat everything up at once and then roll it out. I'm always heating and rolling until, you know, I like where things are going. I always like to work just a little bit at a time as I go. And I'm going to just shape up these edges a little bit with the butter knife, and then on to the next step. So we made it home from Colorado, you guys, and had a wonderful trip. It was really cool. The drive there was nice, even though it is a long drive. Patrick and I, you know, keep each other really good company. Patrick's a great driver, captain, pilot, and I'm like a really good navigator. So we work well together. Okay, now here I want to reduce this color. So I'm just going to give it a little reduction, roll it out somewhat, and you still can't even barely see this stuff. You won't see it until you get the clear on top. And everything's pretty much said and done. But this is when we're really going to start to see what we laid down. I'm going to go ahead and do a full, a full encasement, a full encasement in clear. And every time I do this, I'm just starting, I want a nice, decent gather, and I kind of hook it just slightly on the edge of the bead on the right side and then just swipe it down to the other end. It does take practice. You can add big dots and press them down around your whole bead if you want to as a different form of encasement. Or you can add a whole bunch of wraps on this in clear, and that might look interesting too. Either way, after the encasement's done, I'm just going to round out the edges, and then we'll start on the flowers. And the flowers are, again, a 3-petal flower, which is easier, I think, for beginners. And I just love the way 3-flower petals or, you know, flowers look. They're just, I guess, my favorite. It's a little bit more tricky for me to do a 4 or a 5 petal bead, but I will be working on some in the future. Anyway, so about our trip, yeah, it was great. The first night we ran into a big, heavy thunderstorm right in the middle of I-70 outside of Kansas, so we had to stop in this place called Boonville. And yeah, it was out in the boondocks, Boonville, so we stayed there. And gosh, I can't tell you how awful most hotel food is in the morning. It was awful. It was like the eggs were like tires, the bacon was dry. It was just, the waffle was just gross. I mean, the coffee. Oh, so, once we got past that and went to our first, truck stop of the day. I love stopping at truck stops, you guys. The whole way I would buy like, special candies along the way. And by the time we got to Colorado, I had this awesome candy salad to share with everybody. And so we got to Colorado, and my parents left the next day to go on their cruise. And then we had this whole kind of week to ourselves in their house, which has never happened. I don't spend a lot of time in Colorado because we just have never really had a lot of time to go there. And with my parents not being there, it was even stranger because, like, what are we doing? And then after about a day, I looked at Patrick and I'm like, I really think we're supposed to relax, which is like something that's not necessarily in our vocabulary. We didn't have anywhere to go. It's like a studio, nothing to do. It's like there were things to do. We ended up doing like a 1,000-piece puzzle of this big, colorful, cartoony bird. And of course, we took care of Carly the dog. And I'll tell you guys real quick. I was telling you in a couple weeks ago or a couple videos ago about, the dog. I tend to exaggerate a lot, and Patrick will tell you immediately, you are exaggerating. So I was kind of exaggerating. It's not a huge dog, like I said it was. It's not like a big Great Dane. Carly is more like she's a Great Pyrenees, I found out, a Great White Pyrenees. And she's a medium-sized dog, but let me tell you, when she gets up on her back legs, she's taller than me. So to me, that's a big dog. But we had a great time. Patrick took the lead and walked her every morning. And then I followed up with her 3 meals a day. And, she was just probably the most low-maintenance dog we've ever had to deal with. And we don't deal with many dogs, but she was such a good girl. And so that was cool. And then, the rest of the time was just relaxing, which, like I said, we don't do a lot of. So there was the jacuzzi or the hot tub that we got in a couple times, which was like super nice. And you know what, you guys, I am not a water person, that's for sure. I'm more of a dry land person, but getting into that jacuzzi was like so soothing. It really, really helped. This strain I've been feeling, this muscle leg strain I've been feeling. It's kind of like restless leg syndrome, but the doctor said it wasn't. So I'm on this magnesium cream and stuff on my legs all the time so they don't strain. Anyway, it's a weird sensation. But so yeah, we just had a great time. And then we found Netflix. Yes, my parents have Netflix. And then it was like, oh my goodness, let's go ahead and check out all the documentaries that are available, because we love documentaries, especially true crime. But there was this one documentary that we saw that was about a cruise, and a cruise that like shut down in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and just lost all power. And it's called like Trainwreck, the Poop Cruise. Anyway, oh my gosh, if you're interested in like documentaries about poop cruises on the sea, this is one you will not want to miss. It was insane. Anyway, I laughed the whole time, but I was also mortified by the story, and was also glad that my parents were on a cruise with less than 1,000 people. And it was always close to land, just circling around Iceland. But then they got home. Everything is wonderful. They had a great time, and so did we. And interestingly enough, we also missed a lot of the smoke that came down in the, the Michigan and Ohio, all that area. we missed all that. I had no idea that that happened until a friend of Patrick sent him a picture of downtown Toledo, and you could barely see it. So that was kind of devastating, and I hope that anybody that's up there and in that situation is okay from that. I know we're still dealing with the fires up in Canada, as well as when we were in Colorado. There's a lot of fires in those mountains that the firefighters just cannot get to some of those areas. So we were really thankful last Thursday and Friday when a little bit of rain came through the mountains and right to where that fire was. So I hope that that was helpful for those guys, and just getting the fires to be more contained. Anyway, I've been talking a lot. Let's get back to this bead. So I added the dots with the dark pink, and then on top of that I put a dark the gold ruby. Right before that, I added with the, you can use a butter knife or an X-Acto knife to add a little crease in each petal that I thought, just kind of gave it a little extra something. And then I went ahead and pushed the push and not twist, just the push and break with a nice red stringer in the center of each flower. And then I just finished up. I just wanted to add a little bit more something, so I added just a couple little dots, little Swiss dots here and there to act as more background petals. And here is what we have so far. The bead is not completely flattened where the center of each flower is. So what I'm going to do in order to fill that up is add a very small amount of a transparent. This could be clear or a very light rose. You do kind of see this, but when I show you my beads, they're very, very close up. It's hard to see all the detail that you're seeing at the end shots with the naked eye. So you don't necessarily see each drop of clear. You just want to make sure that you add it right in the center of the flower. Try not to go over the edge of the petals. And then I'm just very, very gently going to slowly incorporate those by heating and gently rolling them down until everything is nice and smooth. And there's so many points on this bead that you could be done. We could be done here. You could be done when it was all kind of raised up. I thought that was really beautiful, having it raised up with the dots and just having that texture before any of that just happened. But I decided, like always, I'm just going to coat the whole thing a couple times in clear to see what it looks like. And then we're close to being done here with our Moorland Field Cane and Night Moon flowers. Yeah, I was going to call this one the Sakura flower bead, but when I looked up the cherry blossoms, those blossoms are definitely 5 petal flowers, so I felt like I would be misleading if I called them a sakura or a cherry blossom. So that's how I got to the name Moonflower, because really that could be any flower that you want. It's just all in your imagination. So I'm just going to finish up the edges here with my butter knife and smooth everything out. And then get to the other side here. I'll just work one side and then very slowly work my way over to the other edge. And so back to Colorado, we had just a good time, you guys. It was nothing like really crazy or exciting. We didn't go anywhere, just because of finances and all that stuff. It was just better for us to hang out as, my parents' kind of a resort house. And we just had a really good time just chilling out. And of course, after a week, ready to get back home. And we just got home last Monday. And the first day home was great. And then the second morning we woke up and noticed that our neighbor's walnut tree, black walnut tree, had dropped on our garage, Patrick's studio. So that was not fun. And this tree had so many walnuts, you guys. It was like a bumper crop this year. So many walnuts that there's 3 humongous like branches that go up and branch out more. One of them, the closest one, of course, to our studio, it just came loose and fell. So there were thousands of walnuts, you guys. We have 2 trash cans, full-size trash cans full of walnuts. And yes, there's a ton of things you can do with walnuts, but I don't have the time or the patience for that. So Patrick had to spend 3 days, he had to have, I helped him, a friend of him helped him get up there and cut everything down. And he has a little electric, trim saw that he used for all that. Oop, I think we're all done, you guys. And so we're back to normal. I hope you all enjoy this one. We'll see you next time in the dungeon.